You know what? I think I'm getting tired of this setup. I think it's time for a little change around here. Now this is more like it. Does genius die over time? Do genuinely talented people just lose their spark at some point? Is it possible for really intelligent, really talented people to just suddenly lose their ability to do what they do well? Because after this movie, I'm starting to think that's the case with Ron Howard. I find it very hard to believe that the same guy who directed A Beautiful Mind is responsible for this snooze fest. And what's even more strange than that is that the only reason this movie is released in December, as opposed to its original release date back in July, I think, was only so it could potentially be a bigger Oscar contender. And let me tell you, if this gets nominated for anything, I'm going to be pissed. Okay, I will admit, I am being a little harsh on it, but can you blame me? There was so much good in this movie. There was so much potential good in this movie. Some of the writers who are involved in it have been involved in some real good stuff. The director, as I've already mentioned, made this, and the cast have been in so many good things. What went wrong here? Well, if I had to venture a guess, it would probably be the source material. Based upon the book of the same name by Nathaniel Philbrick, it follows a group of whalers who are looking to make a big score. And instead, they come across something that genuinely doesn't like them. Now, the film is advertised as being based upon the real-life events that apparently inspired Herman Melville's famous novel, Moby Dick. And it's really not as interesting as it sounds. The film is divided into two parts, the first part being the main story, that is of Chris Hemsworth as the first mate of a whaling ship, and the writing of said story by Herman Melville, as he's being narrated to him by another guy who was apparently a supporting character in the first story. This already causes a number of problems. 1, voice narration over a film that has no need for it. 2, said narration coming from a character who's not even the main focus of the story. And 3, the laziness of not simply showing instead of telling. But it's probably just as well, since what they do show is just ugly. And I don't mean the whalers hunting and killing and harvesting the whales for their oil. Yeah, we used to harvest whales for their oil back in the 1800s. But it's just that the cinematography and the overall color palette is just disgusting to look at. This film looks like it was shot through a Coca-Cola bottle. But apart from the weak story and apart from the ugly visuals, there are some decent parts about it. Chris Hemsworth does his usual fine job with what very little he's given, and the same can be said of the rest of the cast. The special effects are actually very, very stunning, and the overall message of how nature can never be controlled, so stop trying to control it, you stupid humans, is always appreciated. But the main problem the film has is that it can't really decide which direction it wants to go in that regard. At first, it wants us to hate the human characters and root for the whale to kill them, which then makes it a slasher movie. But then at some point, the whale does something evil, and then it's like we're supposed to root for the humans to kill the whale. And then a little while later, it goes right back to making us root for the whale again. It's like, guys, make up your mind. The whale is actually the most interesting character in the whole movie, and he has at most 7 minutes of screen time. And really, the funniest thing about this movie is that I ended up not liking it, but not for the reason that I thought I wasn't gonna like it. I was originally very, very concerned that this is going to be another example of demonizing nature, making people hate whales because they deliberately attack people for no good reason. And there is one scene in the film where that kind of happens, but for the most part, the movie just can't make up its mind as to how we want to treat the whale. Technically, the whale is the hero of the film, as it saves a couple of other whales and teaches human beings to stop trying to control nature. But on the other hand, that message is really accidental because of how lazy the writing is. This whole thing just stinks of apathy and quick paychecks. And it has no right being considered for any Oscar other than most boring movie of the year. Although I think it's still going to get some competition in that regard. I regret to inform you all that this is yet another case of so many really good pieces not coming together. I cannot recommend this movie for anything other than a good 2-hour nap. So, we just got the big one coming up. Please be good, please be good, please be good! Ladies and gentlemen, I am TheNorm. Thanks for watching.